We are going to explore the landscape of the mind, specifically focusing on attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Now, I know that for many years, this term has carried a heavy weight. It is a disorder marked by an ongoing pattern of inattention or hyperactivity that interferes with functioning and development. But those are just clinical words. What does it actually feel like? It can make focusing on everyday tasks and routines feel like climbing a mountain without any gear. But here is the most important thing I want you to hear right now. Having ADHD does not mean that you cannot focus. That is a myth that we need to release. In many cases, it actually means that you focus intensely, perhaps even more intensely than others, but often on something that may not be the immediate priority. Some beautiful souls I have spoken with describe it as a constant feeling of being overwhelmed, or even a slight sense of paranoia that they are forgetting something crucial. For years, people with this unique wiring were stigmatized. They were labeled with words that hurt, words like lazy, procrastinators, flaky, irresponsible. These labels are heavy and they only produce shame. That shame acts like a wall, preventing those with ADHD from seeking the help and the understanding they truly deserve. But please remember this deep in your heart. These labels do not represent who you are. They never have, and they never will. Before we begin exploring the specific signs, please remember that our time together here is for educational purposes only. This conversation is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. We are here to explore and to understand ourselves better. With that foundation of love and safety established, let us walk through 5 signs that you might have ADHD. Number 1 is your childhood history. It is incredibly common for people diagnosed with ADHD as adults to have exhibited symptoms during their childhood, even if those symptoms were never formally recognized or diagnosed at the time. When we look back at our younger selves, we often see the clues scattered like breadcrumbs. Perhaps you were the child staring out the window, dreaming up entire worlds while the teacher was talking about long division. A major reason you may not have been diagnosed back then is that ADHD shares many similar symptoms with other experiences, such as depression, mood swings, forgetfulness, and a general inability to focus. Think about the quiet child in the back of the classroom. They might not be disrupting the class or running around the room, so they fly under the radar. But inside their mind, it is a whirlwind of thoughts, ideas, and distractions. If you look back at your school years and remember struggling to keep your desk organized, constantly losing your homework, or feeling like you had to work twice as hard just to keep up with the instructions that seemed so simple to everyone else, this could be a significant indicator. It is about connecting the dots from who you were then to who you are now, understanding that the struggle was not a character flaw, but a difference in how your brain processes the world. Number 2 is having a short attention span. Now, speaking of the similarities between ADHD and depression, the most common overlap is this difficulty in maintaining attention. However, the key difference lies in the motivation behind it. Someone battling depression often struggles with attention because of a lack of energy or a loss of interest in life's activities. But for someone with ADHD, a short attention span is a direct result of the condition itself, regardless of how much they might want to engage. There is no single definitive reason to explain exactly why a short attention span is one of the primary symptoms, but researchers believe that differences in brain structure play a major role. It is not that you are incapable of being focused. It is simply that something else has caught your brain's attention. I like to think of it as your brain having a very sensitive antenna that picks up on every signal in the room. The ticking clock, the bird outside, the texture of your sweater. Interestingly, ADHD can also make you hyper-focused on something. It sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? How can you have a short attention span and yet spend 6 hours researching medieval history or editing a video without taking a break? This is seen as a variation of a short attention span, or to restate it more accurately, a selective attention span. Your brain locks onto a source of stimulation that provides dopamine, and suddenly, nothing else exists. Understanding this paradox is key to being kind to yourself. You are not broken because you can focus on a video game, but not a spreadsheet. Your brain is just seeking the stimulation it craves. Number 3 is the tendency to leave things unfinished. As a direct result of that short or selective attention span, you might be prone to leaving things undone. We all know that feeling of excitement when we start something new, the rush of possibility. But for someone with ADHD, projects, housework, and homework might be put off for another day or fall to the sidelines entirely, regardless of how enthusiastic you are to start them. You might have a closet full of hobbies that you started with passion but never continued. A knitting kit, a sketchbook with 3 pages filled, a coding course that is 10% complete. This can be frustrating and incredibly challenging. It often leads to a cycle of guilt where you look at these unfinished tasks and feel like you have failed. But there is hope, and there are tools. Doctors typically prescribe medication as a form of treatment, which can be like putting glasses on a blurry mind. Depending on your specific needs, they may prescribe stimulants or non-stimulants to help you focus. Beyond medication, there is also the option of psychotherapy. A therapist might engage in behavioral therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy. These therapies help you build the scaffolding you need to support your projects. They teach you how to break tasks down into tiny, manageable steps so that the mountain doesn't look so high. It is about learning to work with your brain rather than constantly fighting against it. It is about celebrating the starting of things and finding strategies to help the finishing happen without the pressure of perfection. Number 4 is poor impulse control. Another significant sign that you might have ADHD is difficulty managing your impulses. Now, I want to clarify what this means. This would not just be a one-off clothing splurge because you had a bad day. This is more like a pattern of doing something you know you should not do, yet feeling powerless to stop it in the moment. Examples might be running a red light because you just cannot bear to wait, or maxing out your credit card on something you logically know you do not need. You may not even know why you do these things. You just do them. That is the essence of poor impulse control. It is acting without any foresight, living entirely in the immediate moment without connection to the future consequences. But impulse control issues are not always dramatic or dangerous. Sometimes they can be as subtle as having distractions for your distractions. You might start cleaning the kitchen, see a letter on the counter, start reading it, realize you need to call someone, and suddenly you are on the phone while the water is still running. It can also manifest socially, such as interrupting conversations. You might have a thought that feels so urgent, so burning, that it flies out of your mouth before you can stop it, interrupting a friend. It is not because you are rude or do not care about what they are saying. It is because your brain lacks the pause button that others might have. It can involve engaging in risky behaviors or spending large amounts of money when your bank account is low. Recognizing this as a symptom rather than a moral failing is the first step toward managing it. When we understand that our brakes are a little soft, we can learn to drive more carefully. Number 5 is an inability to get organized. The last sign we will discuss today is that you cannot seem to get organized, no matter how many pretty planners you buy. Deadlines creep up out of the blue, surprising you even though you knew they were coming. Priorities seem to go out the window. You might spend 3 hours organizing your bookshelf by color while a crucial work assignment is due in an hour. But please, do not fret. There is hope, and there are ways to navigate this. While traditional calendars, planners, and bullet journals may work wonders for some, they may not work in your case, and that is okay. You do not have to force yourself into a system that was not designed for you. However, alarms may help. Externalizing your sense of time can be a game changer. Give yourself 30 minutes to an hour to complete something from your to-do list. Set a timer. When you see those numbers counting down, it can create a sense of urgency that the ADHD brain often responds well to. After the alarm rings, move on to the next item, whether you finished the previous item or not. That way, you do not get stuck working on one thing for the entire day, falling into the hyper-focus trap at the expense of everything else. It is about creating a rhythm that keeps you moving. It is about being gentle with yourself when chaos happens and simply resetting the course. Organization looks different for everyone. For you, it might mean visual cues, sticky notes on the mirror, or body doubling with a friend. Find what brings you peace and functionality, and let go of what the world says organization should look like. So, my dear friends, did you relate to any of these signs? I want you to know that if you did, you are not alone. I see you, and I understand the silent battles you fight every day to keep things running smoothly. I did relate to many of these points myself, and acknowledging them was the beginning of a journey toward greater self-love. We hope you have learned about some of the different signs of ADHD today. If you identify with these signs, I encourage you to consult a mental health professional. It is not an admission of defeat, it is an act of courage. They can guide you through forms of therapy that can be greatly beneficial, helping you unlock the immense potential that lives within your creative, dynamic mind. You deserve to feel supported. You deserve to understand the beautiful machinery of your own mind. Please like this video if it brought you any value, and share it with friends that might find some insight in this discussion too. You never know who is struggling in silence, and your share might be the light they need today. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more content designed to help you live your happiest, most authentic life. I want to take a moment to expand on why this matters so much. When we talk about these 5 signs, childhood history, short attention span, leaving things unfinished, poor impulse control, and the inability to get organized, we are really talking about the human experience of trying to navigate a world that demands linearity from nonlinear minds. Think about the sheer creativity that comes from a mind that does not follow the straight and narrow path. The short attention span allows you to synthesize information from a dozen different sources. The impulse can sometimes lead to spontaneous adventures that create the best memories. The daydreaming child grows up to be the visionary artist or the innovative entrepreneur. The goal is not to cure you of who you are. The goal is to give you the steering wheel so that you can drive this high-performance vehicle of a brain without crashing. Let's look deeper at the concept of time for a moment, related to sign number 5. For many with ADHD, time is not a constant flow but a series of now and not now. This is why the future feels abstract and why deadlines surprise you. It is not that you do not care about the future. It is that your brain prioritizes the sensory reality of the present moment. Understanding this can help you forgive yourself for past mistakes. You were not ignoring the deadline on purpose. Your brain simply had not registered it as now yet. Using alarms and timers brings the future into the now, making it real enough to act upon. And regarding the unfinished things from sign number 3, let us reframe that. You are an explorer. You have dipped your toes into painting, coding, gardening, and writing. You have a breadth of knowledge that is envious. Instead of looking at the unfinished canvas as a failure, look at it as an experiment that gave you what you needed at that moment. You learned something about color. You learned something about patience. You experienced the joy of creation. That is valuable, even if the product is not sitting in a museum. Your worth is not measured by your productivity or your finished projects. Your worth is inherent in your existence. The journey of understanding ADHD is also a journey of reparenting ourselves. It is about looking at that inner child who was told they were too much or not enough and telling them, you were just right. You were just trying to cope with a brain that wanted to consume the whole world at once. It is about replacing the critical inner voice, the one that sounds like a stern teacher or a disappointed parent, with a voice of kindness. A voice that says, okay, we got distracted, that happens. Let's gently bring our focus back, no shame necessary. As you move forward from this video, I want you to carry a sense of curiosity about your own behaviors. Notice when you interrupt. Notice when you hyperfocus. Observe these things without judgment, just like you would observe clouds passing in the sky. Oh, look, there is a distraction cloud. Interesting. By becoming the observer, you take back your power. You stop being the victim of your symptoms and start being the manager of your mind. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this community. We are building a space here where every type of mind is celebrated, where struggles are shared openly, and where happiness is not a destination, but a manner of traveling. All the references used for today's discussion are added in the description box below for those of you who want to dive deeper. Take care of yourselves, drink some water, and do one small thing today that makes your soul happy. Whether that is listening to your favorite song, petting a dog, or simply closing your eyes for 5 minutes of silence, you are doing a wonderful job navigating this complex life. I believe in you, and I am cheering for you. We will see you next time, right here, for more conversations that heal and uplift. Sending you so much love and light. Goodbye for now.